Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and I just got out of seeing the latest Dracula adaptation titled The Last Voyage of the Demeter. And this, well, I wonder if it is appropriate to call it a Dracula adaptation because it's actually based on one single chapter of the Dracula story, and I don't want to give too many details away, but it's not a straight up adaptation of the whole Dracula story. It's based on one particular part, and that's all I'll say. You guys know how I roll by now. But getting right into it, this is a movie that has where what it's trying to pull off in concept is unfortunately bogged down by the formulaic horror plot structure that it chooses to go with. I definitely felt that the feeling that I got from watching this whole movie is that perhaps while obviously Count Dracula is like a horror icon, everybody knows the name, everybody knows, you know, the story. I can't say that everybody's read the original Bram Stoker novel, but the majority of us out there are familiar with the story. Yours truly hasn't even read the original Bram Stoker version, but I have seen Nosferatu and the Bela Lugosi Dracula. So again, I'm familiar with the story as are a lot of you out there. A lot of us out there know this story. But however, what this whole movie is based on, that section of the story is more or less a footnote and is definitely in the grand scheme of things, kind of an obscure part of the story. It's not the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the Dracula story. And for that reason, I got the sense that they were like, this is, I got the sense that filmmakers were probably like, hey, this story is a bit, niche. What's the easiest way to make this movie accessible to mass horror audiences? So they decided to play it safe. That's a good summary of what I just watched. Now, thankfully, that does not at all tank this movie. I still, to my surprise, had a really good time watching this. Yes, like I just said, it's the standard. They just opened up the book of horror cliches and made a movie. But I think what saves it from being generic horror movie trash is what it's based off of, being a kind of a period piece set in the late 19th century, and furthermore being my favorite type of horror story, a claustrophobic horror story. Pretty much this entire movie takes place on the ship, the Demeter, and you do get that sense of claustrophobia. You do feel that sense of tension and suspense, despite the cliches, the fake out jump scares, the jump scares that you see a mile coming away, all that good horror jazz. Also, man, Corey Hawkins is a very underrated character actor. He's one of those actors that he becomes the person that he's playing, and he does a good job in heading this movie. Um, let's just say, I don't like to give things away, but let's just say the majority of the rest of the crew on the ship, they're there to be those types of horror movie characters that just kind of exists for a very predictable purpose that you can probably guess. I'm trying to keep it vague for you guys. So, point being, they unfortunately weren't as well developed as his character. They were just more or less in the background, despite this being a very small crew of people. So I feel like they definitely could have spent more time, with developing these characters, because it's a very tiny crew on this ship, and we could have easily have gotten to know all of them, their backstory and whatnot. But they decided to go in a different direction. Like I said, horror movie book of cliches. But those are the saving graces of the movie. Though it was predictable as all hell, it ultimately made for a very compelling and effective claustrophobic horror story that takes place on a ship. I like Dracula's design in this particular movie. He looks really great. He looks really threatening. The kills were very satisfying and entertaining to watch. Though again, there was no effective buildup or suspense. You see everything coming from a mile away, but it was still enjoyable when it went down. Um, and that's about all there is to say. Predictable as all hell, but because of the source material, because of the that claustrophobic feeling, that singular setting, because of Corey Hawkins's you know, I'm not gonna say it's an amazing Oscar-worthy performance, but because of his really solid performance as the lead in this movie, they ended up pulling off a thoroughly decent horror movie and a thoroughly decent Dracula adaptation. So wrapping it up, I'm going to give the last voyage of the Demeter, a very surprising 7 out of 10. I got to tell you, when it first started, I'm thinking this is going to be a 5 or at best a 6. But as it went on, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's predictable as all hell, but it's working for me. So yes, 7 out of 10 for Voyage. I keep forgetting. I almost want to just say Voyage of the Demeter, but it's Last Voyage of the Demeter. This has been another edition of Wade Watches, and I will see you all next time. Peace.